this role we're in. We're like the first of the digital and the last of the like, the analog. We were the very last generation with 6 parties a night in downtown New York. There's a lot of space we need to clear, but you can't see it when you're young because you're only clearing space for yourself. Times have changed because what I did in real life was the catalyst for who I was. And now, since I did what I did in real life, I can go backwards because all the kids want to be us, man. Like they know that we had a classic record like once a week times five. The people that know, and that's all I really need. Like, and that's all I've ever needed.
Hey there, it's me, Roxy Cottontail. You might know me as a DJ, artist, designer, and New York City party promoter, or from my bunny logo. I'm putting all that on the table and writing about the years that transformed music and the New York City scene. I've interviewed 250 friends and colleagues I admire. I ask all and reveal all. Please join me and the Tales to rediscover the 90s and the Y2K magical landscape of music, art, technology, and streetwear. This is Roxy's Tales.
My name is Nick Hook. I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. I moved to New York City in 2004. I'm an artist, I'm a producer, I'm a yogi, I'm an adventurer, and I'm also living in Medellin, Colombia now. And here we are. It's an honor to be here with Roxy, one of the goddesses of life,
Oh,
not just New York City. And I'm really excited because there's not many people I could talk to about Mondays in New York City with. I haven't done many podcasts either, so I'm pretty
yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm excited to have you.
My guest this week on Roxy's Tales is Nick Hook, a legend in the world of music production, bringing his touch of class sound to Run the Jewels, Hudson Mohawk, Azealia Banks, and many others. Not just a music producer, but an amazing DJ. And back in the Y2K era, Sake Bar, he was the host with the most. We go down the rabbit hole of history on this one. Live from his Greenpoint, Brooklyn studio, without further ado, Nick Hook.
I know you as a DJ and producer, but I'm pretty sure that you were in a lot of bands prior to that. Can you walk me through your start in music and um, maybe how you got to New York?
I started doing music, like young, like playing little, violin and bass and recorder and all the like general things that we all do. And when I was 13, 14, I started playing guitar. We were copying Nirvana and Deftones, Rage Against the Machine. And I started learning. My best friend was 30 years old when I was 14. And I carried their amps and he taught me how to use the 4-track. I was out seeing concerts like every single night of the week because most of the bands had to get to Chicago. So we had a lot of shows. As I was carrying amps for my homeboys and like, just following them around, once I went to a radio station and this DJ gave me like a CD with like Reason, Fruity Loops, Acid, and all of a sudden, like we called it computer music back then. Like all of a sudden I was trying to cross like computer music with, live music because we loved Dr. Dre and Outkast and Beastie Boys. And I was always fueled by music that had organic and machines at the same time. In like 2001, 2000, um, this band called Glassjaw, they were from New York. I was a big fan of. They opened for the Deftones during White Pony tour. And one of my friends knew them and they introduced me to them. And at that point, you know, as you know, not many of us were DJs or electronic producers. There was like, a scarcity of this. Not every single person on earth was a rapper, DJ, graphic designer. And so Glassjaw was kind of having internal problems after a Warped tour. And my boy Todd was like, well, why don't you come up and let's start a band for a week as a joke? So I started driving, I went to New York and we wrote all these songs and they had been signed to Warner Brothers and they like, signed a really like they were one of the last artists to sign a really big record deal. So Warner still retained their contract when we started making music and we wrote a couple of songs and everyone like, liked them and they got hot. So we signed a deal to Warner Brothers. I was driving my car back and forth like 18 hours from St. Louis back and forth and then I'd made the decision to leave. That was like I got in my car on April 1st, 2004. No cell phone, no nothing. Brought my credit cards, brought like the little gear I had, and the band was called Men, Women, and Children, and that was from like 2004, and next year's our 20-year anniversary, and we never touched it yet. So next year we're like, it's crazy because that's my first band, and then which led to Cubic Zirconia with Tiambe Lockhart. That that's our 15-year anniversary next year.
Wow.
And so in the midst of that, I started playing live with LP. I started playing live with Drop the Lime. Um, and at that point, almost like this point, I'll still do anything. I was just out in New York running around on the streets like we used to do before it was digitized. And yeah, so I came from a band background, and it wasn't until, like 2012 was the first time I was solo. I'd never released my own music till I was in my 30s. So it's all kind of, and then production came, or Azealia Banks came, or, all these things came out of me. I didn't even know what an engineer was. I thought when you're in a band, you make the flyer, you play the song, make the song. And so when I started learning what all these roles were, I was like, yo, I do all these.
Yeah.
And so mixer, engineer, producer, all the things, I guess, DJ. I started learning to DJ, I guess, also to, maintain a life in New York because we all know it's hard here too.
Yeah. Where were you performing when you got here?
Overall, we spent about $1 million of Warner Brothers money. So first we made an album. We spent $300,000 making our album, and we got to, it
What's the
was
name
like,
of the album?
it was called Men, Women, and Children. It was
Okay.
self-titled, and we got to use like everywhere from like Howard Benson, who did like Hoobastank, and Josh Abraham, who did like Slayer, and then we went to Nebraska with Mike Mogus, who did like Cursive and The Faint, and Rain
Yeah.
from Our Lady Peace. So first, we never played a show till after we made our album,
Okay.
and then our very first tour was with Gang of Four.
That's
Um,
sick.
and for me, this whole process was, like going to school. I learning how to make records.
Yeah.
My mentor now, his name's Gareth Jones. He produced all the early Depeche Mode albums. And, now that I'm older, I could see a lot of these people saw me in themselves and like, took me under their wing. And then we did Panic at the Disco tour, Kasabian, 30 Seconds to Mars. We were on tour for like, you know, our album came out in 2006, and we were on tour for a good, like, we played 200 some odd shows in the like in a year basically.
Wow.
Yeah, and we did Bowery and Mercury and Roseland, and I've gotten to play pretty much all the New York venues throughout, Limelight. I got to DJ once,
Yeah.
and then before that, I'd started coming to New York in the 90s, and, got to go to Coney Island High or Brownies or Wetlands. And so I feel fortunate that, like, I feel like our generation's like, we're like the middle of the X, where like, we're not ever going to be the super old. And like, we're like, we're going to be able to teach the youth. But I think, this role we're in, we're like the first of the digital and the last of the, like, the analog.
Oh
And
yeah.
really, I think, understanding that, because like, Gareth's 73, and like without him we don't know what happened at Abbey Road or with Led Zeppelin. And like, for me, making albums is like my true passion, and carrying that on and sharing, as much as we can.
So when did you start DJing professionally?
I started learning how to DJ like in St. Louis. I was the college rep for BMG when I was in college. And so back then I would be getting, Stankonia promos, and millions of lots of music would be coming because I would go to the record stores and hand it out. So once I had a party and my homeboy left his turntables at the crib, and I had all this vinyl, and it was months that he left them. So I kind of was like, well, I got two Tribe Called Quest vinyls. They got to match with each other. And so I started learning to DJ in like 2003, 2002, but right before I left for New York. It was again just something we, really had fun with. And also back then, like, everyone thought they were unique because we didn't know what everyone else did. So we were, playing mashups on vinyl, and,
Yeah.
collecting Egyptian Lover records. And it felt really cool because I think we thought we were like, the only people in the universe doing it. But then you get to New York, and obviously we weren't the only people in the universe doing it. As the band started doing its thing, I learned how to go play after parties, and we're in a different country. And I think the DJing was like the gap to, like, becoming A&R, finding new projects.
Yeah.
All my friends were always very productive in the day, and then, you need something to do at night. So that was my thing, is just, this is a 24-hour a day job, like forever. And it never hasn't been since I started.
The early mid 2000s is definitely when like parties had a band but also a DJ.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it was like that at probably Mud Club too. But, I felt like whatever I was doing was trying to emulate whatever the hell was happening in the 80s. So,
100%. We're lucky that we not only like we lived on the Lower East Side. Like we that energy, it's there. And I think all, especially people like us that you have to study. And I also think I don't think I think I know that we were the very last generation with six parties a night in downtown New York. Like that, like from Tuesday till Sunday, and don't walk down Bedford because you might see all your friends. And I really feel privileged. It's like we got the last record deal for $1 million. It's like those things don't happen anymore. And I feel so privileged because it was 2004 to 2007 was the amalgamation of everything that like from the 80s that we've been, try Mario Caldado or again Outkast or Dre or Parliament Funkadelic or, all the early new wave that I guess we're just trying to do something different than them, but the exact same at the same time.
Yeah. So you started on vinyl
Yeah.
and walk me through what being a rep for BMG is.
I went to community college and like they would send us boxes of CDs and I would go to every record store and like, yo, they would be so excited I was there because I would hand them all the new music and then I would hang up posters. And then when Sarah McLachlan came to town, I'd be the little kid to go like, oh, I'm the one that hung up your posters. And I just love being around music. So I was making like $100 a week or something, but to have access to music, especially promos, that was unheard of,
Yeah.
and that also allowed me to get free tickets to every show and just acclimate myself as like, a young kid that was when I turned 21, all the bouncers started punching me because they thought I was 21 for like, since I was like 16. Um,
That's
but
great.
yeah, it was more like a street team, super street team kind of thing. And I had to send in reports and then they sent us to CMJ every year. So like 97, 98, 99, I got to go to CMJ as like, a kid from St. Louis that, had never really done any of this stuff except like dream about it while I was playing music at the same time. Like I've always been in a band since I was like 13, 14.
You started DJing on vinyl.
Yeah.
Did you ever make the transition
I
to
did all the
Serato?
transitions. I'm still doing them to this day. I've always been a gearhead technological person. So like, Serato came in and the first gear video I ever did was for Serato that I got paid for. And so I think also going on tour, that not only did we go on tour, but once our van and our trailer was robbed in Detroit with like, all of our merch, all of our gear, all of our everything.
Oh,
And, from that point on, I also realized that maybe going digital is going to help you because I don't want to break them. I don't want to lose them. So I went from Serato and then, I moved to CDJs because I found most of the turntables on earth are broken inside of a club and that they didn't get to like reflect you as a person. And now I'm between, my controller with the CDJs, with my records, with my controllers, with the stems. And I love everything. I just went and played an all vinyl set, but also I'm on my 404, like, trying to push it forward at the same time. And I think all that's really important,
yeah.
especially
Cool.
now. Like
Yeah.
now we're trying to, they're trying to take us out as artists. So all that's even more important because I think electrifying people in person is going to be the true thing that's going to get you by as time moves forward.
Yeah. Tell me about DJing in New York City. Where did that start for you? Who were you working with? I mean, I remember some things, but walk
Well,
me
I could
through
say, Dimitri and High Voltage was definitely like those were like that would like I could say for sure because I was not Nick Hook then. I was my real name's well, I don't want to say it out loud because we try to keep those things under wraps, but I have flyers with my real name before I was they called me Nick Hook. That's what they named me. So I would say there Thursday night at Webster Hall, I got it to start playing early, whether it was for Annie Pop Consortium or RZA or because back then the currency was trying to open for shows with people you loved,
that.
and whether it was the first or the last. So I started doing that, and then you got to Webster Hall on the Friday. I had to work at the sake bar, so I never really got to come to your parties all that much because we were up late. It was a portion of that, and then DJing after parties on tour, and then I think it was called. It wasn't called the Cove; it was called Hugs, and me and Josh Link and Adrian Michna, we started a party at Hugs that then evolved into the Cove that where we had DJ Assault and Jock Green and Hudson Mohawk. And that was the time where also you learned that I brought Subtract to America for the first time, uh,
Sick.
and started to be like not really a promoter, but just someone that could, you want to do things for people that you would want them to do if you were in Tokyo. Is that that's how I got to meet Glassjaw. I was bringing them pizzas and taking them out for drinks. Is that when you go on tour, it's dangerous out there and it's unhealthy. And I guess providing, I look at my studio like an orphanage. It's not a studio.
Oh,
It's like it's a safe place where I think if you're an artist, you can understand the plight of another artist, but not a lot of people can truly understand, like, because when we talk from our heart, they feel like we're complaining or projecting or something, but really just building a safe space and, DJing everywhere, Diesel store, uh, you name it, I've done it.
I
Literally, like
remember. Okay, so High Voltage, Dimitri Mock's party was at Sutra.
Sutra, yeah, and that's where I met Joey and AJ and like I and it's funny because I'm doing archiving. I'm like basically I'm going through like five computers doing the archiving with everything right now. So it's nice to patch these stories together. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like and then Monday at the Sake Bar, Tuesday at Sutra. I forgot who threw Wednesdays, Thursdays at Hero Ballroom, Friday at Webster Hall,
Yeah.
uh Luke and Leroy's fucking
Misshapes.
Misshapes, yeah, I DJ'd
Yeah.
at Misshapes back in the day. All I did the circuit. All of us know all of us because everybody. I was never on the holler board.
I was going to ask you
Yeah.
about your message board history. If you were on any forums, I didn't remember that you were on the holler
No,
board.
I felt like my role in that world was to be in like I'm a guy that comes from a band that's because it was like I was different from everybody at the same time I was the same. And also going to Turntable Lab. My life wouldn't like from before it because when I moved to East 7th Street and I found out Turntable Lab was a block down, I went I literally went and I was like, I'm looking for Adrian Michner. Like, I want to be his friend. And like, he was my very first friend in New York. And then came, Gems and Mike B. And I love New York because I felt like in St. Louis, there wasn't enough room for everyone to succeed. And in New York, I could help people, I could engineer, I could offer my services, and everyone just wanted me to help and then wanted me to succeed at the same time. Like Run the Jewels LP, like I've gone from like, as far back in the interns chair to now executive producing like Latin albums with them and just going through the school of hard knocks,
Yeah.
really, you know.
Yeah, walk me through the production and people that you've worked with.
So the first album I ever produced for someone that wasn't my own music was Elvis 1990's debut on Island Records. And that was because I had all these instruments and I knew how to work them. It goes back to being like a commodity. And so that was about the same time as Cubic Zirconia. And then the real thing that changed everything is when my friend that managed like Machine Drum, we met him in Montreal and he wrote me an email one day and he said, your friend Azealia Banks, she has this single that she wants to record. And so one day she came over and 15 minutes later we downloaded Lazy J's beat off the internet and recorded 212. And for a good 6, 7 months, I never thought I was going to hear that song again. Like because I knew it was hot, but like, how many times you've been in a studio and someone says we're going to win the Grammy. And so then I went to Red Bull Music Academy, and then all of a sudden that was the biggest song in the whole entire world.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all the people that never really wanted to look at me or talk to me felt like they knew me forever. That's when I learned how the game works. And so that catapulted me as like a producer, I could send you my discography. I just did my discography for the first time in my career this year. And
Wow.
it's beautiful. It's because all our heroes always taught us to be super cryptic. Don't tell anyone anything. Let them figure it out. Like let the crumbs fall and let the 100 copy CD be this. And now that I have a baby and I think things have changed a lot, it's crazy because it's like a super plot twist. Like, hey, yo, what's good? I'm Nick Hook. I did this,
Mhm.
and like that's why I'm here today, is that I
Yeah.
have a new outlook on how to share. I think I needed to wait my whole life to even start talking about some of this shit.
I mean, it's interesting, we spoke earlier about feeling everything as an artist and how, I have always been very humble myself. And That's why I loved having Paloma around because she was just like my spokesperson, to tell everyone.
Ah, Miss Paloma gang.
I know she was like my
Woo!
my acting publicist, stylist, and promoter. Like she was so good at bigging me up, and so I didn't really do a lot of that
Yeah.
myself.
But also like we all knew like that and like if you know, you know. And like I think whether you go to yoga every day and you're with the people that go to yoga or music or and I guess I like that because the people that know and that's all I really need like and that's all I've ever needed. But now again, I have a child and I have a different need and like I think that's exciting to become a storyteller or to be Unc like I'm big Unc or like I'm dad and uncle at the same time and embracing that versus running from it because all the kids want to be us, man. Like they know that we had a classic record like once a week times five and that we like I feel like it's never been a better time to be a little bit older in the history of time you know
Yeah. I mean, we are very fortunate, I think. We also spoke about being on the analog and the digital side of the coin. And
yeah.
I love that because we can appreciate both, I think. But I do want your discography.
I'm gonna send that to you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I would
pretty
love
sick. Yeah,
that.
it's crazy. It's like it's almost awesome, like Forrest Gump action. Like how did any of this happen? Like including the studio, including. But I guess I know how it happened because like Boo used to tell me. Boo used to call me, we used to have a lot of late night talks before she passed away. But yo, Hookie, we blessed, man. I was on Stankonia, bitch. And I'm like, if Gangster Boo's telling me we're blessed, we're blessed. And like, if people are telling you're an OG legend, you're in, like, I'm trying to embrace those things people tell me because again, like most of the people I'm around tell me the truth. Like, all right, like let's not be as humbly speaking anymore because we built this catalog and we did these things and I really feel proud of it now. It took me a long time to really realize like I am that and I've always been that.
Yeah. Puff your chest out, Boo.
A little bit, yeah.
Hell
Like
yeah. So would you say that like cubic zirconia with Tiambe, would you say that that is what propelled you to take on producing other people?
like at that point having a major label resume owning a lot of gear like I had this space. I think it was accumulation of like and this new generation we come from like when you're in a band you're looking at four people at once, change this, change that, I don't like this, I don't like that, you get in a huge fight, you love each other again. And I think everything in everything every year gets more isolated and you have to teach people how to work together with other people. Communication's a skill you learn. If I tell you don't like it, that doesn't mean I don't like you. And I think just being big bro, there's a lot of darkness in all this stuff, and especially when you're making an album because you're looking into the mirror of the truest essence you can possibly, and especially if you feel everything, if it's not true. And just being a co-pilot was really, I think, because I've always done it. Like I just, again, I didn't know I was a producer. And when people can, I guess, if people can legitimize you into a role, you can become that role. So that's always was my dream to be like a music producer. And like I guess it just kind of happened because there weren't again, there's like a Dave Sitek or like there weren't many people that wanted to work with other people, you know?
Yeah. What year did you say it was that you kind of broke out into your own?
Me as me.
Yeah.
My first album was with Scion in 2012. My boy from Scion was like, yo, lock yourself in a room and make a record. And LP's on it, Sirkin's on it, L-Vis is on it, Machine Drum's on it. And I went in because I was scared too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to learn how to make my own album to also help other people finish their albums because it's you, not me. You have to go do the interviews um, so I feel like also that I didn't do my very, very first real solo album till 2015. And that's when the day Dust died. That's the same day my boy died that gave me my studio. And that was like another revelation in my life when I stopped drinking and shaved my head. And I had to go in and make my own album, like for real, for real. And like that also allowed me to learn how I could do a better job for these people that like, when you're young, you still don't know everything. Well, you never know anything really, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was around 2010 was, I guess, you could say like I was now like other people could see me as a producer.
It's amazing. I mean, how many artists you have impacted. I'm just realizing
It's
like I didn't really
unbelievable.
know
Yeah.
the full depths of it. I wanted to ask too, how did Sake Bar come to become a thing? I know you worked there as a bartender, and there was a Monday night kind of
Yeah.
ritual that a lot of people
Yeah.
would come to sway afterwards.
Yeah. If we made it out in time.
But tell me about Sake Bar and how
Yeah.
that happened.
Well, so when I moved to New York, I lived on 200 East 7th between B and C. And the sake bar was 202 East 7th. So it was the business outside of my door. And so first we were just patrons. And after my band had broke up in 2007, I went down on a Monday and there was nobody in there. And I was like, you should let me DJ in the corner so I could make a few bucks. And that's that. So I started DJing in the corner, and all of a sudden there was like 65 people in a space that held like 11. And so then the bartender quit, and she let me become the bartender and the DJ and the waiter and the security guard, everything but the cook, essentially. And so as the bartender, I felt like it was the first time that I could host my people, but not be like, hey, I'm a Nick Hook, I'm doing this. Like a club speaks so different than and I feel like we got to develop like a friendly relationship as that host, and it just I was making $500 on a Monday in a place that held like 12 people. And
Yeah.
so also that really allowed me not to hold myself because you see people doing music they don't want or DJ gigs that you don't want, and that's how you don't get to go travel. And so I held the sake bar down because Drop the Lime told me, you have to be the headliner, you have to get a limited free drinks. He gave me these rules. And if you don't get those rules, you can't play. And all of a sudden, once he gave me those rules and I was still earning my little living, I started to go DJ out of town because the supply and demand changed, you know?
Yeah.
And so the sake bar, like to this day, is it allowed me to really show my personality and who I was without the facade of like oh rub, 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 rub. Like I feel like the music industry makes you put this costume on. It allowed me to I guess change personas and and also host people in a non-traditional setting when we had six parties a night,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
mean,
So
also like your perspective and appreciation for what it allowed you to do. Like, I think that's really cool. And, you know, I was very fortunate to have Sway for 7 years. And I felt like that allowed me to do something similar. But
now people are making 700 videos to show what you're about, but you could prove who you were in the studio or in the street we were talking about how, remember when you could just put a track listing up in an album cover and everyone freaked out? Like whoa, times have changed because what I did in real life was the catalyst for who I was. And now since I did what I did in real life, I can go backwards. Like I feel blessed. Like I had a New York Times review. I've been on this. Like you imagine being 22 years old trying to come out right now? And I always thought, like don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like you don't want to be known for just as a DJ or just as a producer or just as the sake bar guy. And I guess again, like I said, my teachers
yeah.
told me to be cryptic.
Yeah, I appreciate that
Like,
too because there's a lot of people that I know that I would consider family,
yeah.
but are still mysterious to me.
And
Like,
that's New York to the core. That's why I like even fell in love with Latin America because it was even deeper. Because even when I go in America and like a homie's parent finds out you play music, they're like, "What do you do?" Like they want you to like announce your capitalism of or of your Warner Brothers sticker. And like when I got to Latin America, they're just like, I was like, I could do this. Like, I don't have to like prove to everyone because I feel like you live this American life, like, and that's why I love New York because you have to prove it the least. Like, if you made it past a year here, you're good at what you do. And that, if you could make it here, you could make it anywhere resonates louder to me every year because like the sixth gear in New York doesn't exist in the rest of the world. Like our
yeah,
velocity is like my girl has never been here still, and she couldn't imagine the speed and the urgency and the pressure. But like that's a language you and I speak. Like we wanted to be there. I've seen the sun come up a lot of times. Like I love going to bed at 9 o'clock now because now I party at 6 in the morning and but like yo, that's the cycle of life, Like there's kids out there going crazy right now and we think this we don't even know, and I
Yeah.
I love that you kind of passed the club over. Like my passion for DJing isn't the same as what it used to be. And like it's because I spend more time producing. I like to be relevant takes 40 hours a week minimum.
Hell
And
yeah.
also, you don't want to look irrelevant in a place that's based on relevancy. I feel grateful I'm not trying to take, when I was 24, that space was for us. I feel good that I could step away. And even further as you get older, which you don't understand when you're young, is we need to clear space for women. We need to clear space. There's a lot of space we need to clear, but you can't see it when you're young because you're only clearing space for yourself. And
Yeah.
I think knowing when to step aside because yo, I work with 15-year-olds to 80-year-olds. Like they're and we learn from each other every day. So that's my favorite thing now is like, and also I'm taking gigs that I used to not take again, like that I'm older because I'm not trying to headline a festival anymore.
What else do we need to discuss here, Nick Hook?
The present and the future, I guess.
Yeah, so what's going on with you presently?
Well, I guess one thing that I really want to talk about that's important is during COVID, my big bros run the jewels, who first I was the engineer, then I was the instrumentalist, co-producer. But my travels to Latin America have been, I've toured India, I've toured Asia. I think like 2015 or 16, I saw the future of the whole world outside of America and Europe. Like I saw Europe and America as like antiquated, crusty butt capitalism, racist. And going down there, we took Run the Jewels 4, which came out during COVID, and turned it into Run the Jewels Quattro. And we had artists from 11 countries, reinterpreted the whole album, Bomba Stereo, Lido Pimienta, Santa Fe Clan, Acapella, Apache, like, groundbreaking Latin artists. And that came out. And that's to me opened a whole new world of like, estamos hablando inglés, español, it's multilingual. That's what's most important to me because I see that I can use my privilege to like break all the windows in and like really actually make like a true change, and not just on a New York level, but on like now that I have a baby,
Yeah.
she gonna be the real she gonna carry out the mission that we really built. So just opening up this stuff in Latin America, bringing people down to Medellin, Mexico City, Peru. I found the best artists I can find, and like it's about making stuff too. It's not really about some of the things that I think get in the way of the things that we love the most.
Yeah, I mean, going and reaching out inside the diaspora of the world, I'm sure is no easy undertaking, and I like commend you for
Mm.
going big.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like I've been a person also that like I'm thrust like Boo let a lot of her pain out through me, and like I realize I'm strong enough to carry some of that, and like you get through the deeper sub layers of like how to come out with something that's important without like words. And me and my girl call it sin palabras, and it puts your tone of voice, or because it's not actually the words you're saying, it's how you're saying them. And I think like there's a lot of deeper lessons out there that I'm just getting started with still.
And so now what are you working on?
Right now I've gotten a manager for the first time, and I have like I have my record label called Calm and Collect that, me and Katie Longmire own together since 2012. And I have about like 400 unreleased tracks I'm starting to get to excavate. And then like, a million just making music. I have so much music. So I'm trying to like really figure out how to keep it going. I've been doing a lot of gear videos for, teenage engineering and Moog. And that's another thing that like I've dived into the YouTube thing. Like I stream a lot. And that's like an audience that like there's all these different audiences out there that I think like I learned from gamer. Like I started scoring for Grand Theft Auto um in 2019. So
Oh,
learning
yeah.
how to compose. Um
Amazing. I mean, I love going down memory lane with you, and it's always been maximum respect.
Thank you.
I also remember you playing at 205 a lot.
Oh yeah, duh. I had downstairs when Lloyd and Roxy had upstairs on Tuesday nights for a long time. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that was formative as well. Again, look how many things that are so formative that have escaped the mind.
yeah.
Those are the best times of my life, man. We were really in a good place to absorb a lot, and like it was all so new, like the blog was new, the message board was new, meeting people from another country was new.
Yeah. Okay, Nick Hook. Well, thank
All
you
right,
so
gang.
much for coming on Roxy's Tales.
It's an honor. Thank you so much. All right, friend.
Okay, cool. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for hopping by. That's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and stalk. Bounce, little kitty.